The biography of the Venerable Sunlun Gu Kyong Sayadaw Yukawi and his Dharma discourses. The Sunlun Way of Meditation. Introduction. Unveiling the path of Vipassana meditation and the monk's quest for liberation. In the serene depths of self-discovery, amidst the tranquil landscapes of the mind, lies a profound journey known as Vipassana meditation. As I reflect upon my years of dedicated practice and immersion into this timeless technique, I am profoundly humbled and inspired to present this book to you. Vipassana, which translates to insight or clear seeing, is not merely a meditation method, it is an expedition into the innermost recesses of our being. This book not only chronicles the essence of the practice but also recounts the remarkable story of a monk who believed in the potential of Vipassana to attain the ultimate liberated state of arahantship. Through my experiences, both triumphs and challenges, I hope to offer you a relatable and sincere account of the transformative potential that Vipassana meditation holds. The origins of Vipassana trace back to the teachings of Gautama Buddha, who expounded this profound technique over 2 millennia ago. Yet, its relevance remains undiminished, as it continues to provide solace and enlightenment to seekers from diverse walks of life. In sharing my encounters with Vipassana and the inspiring journey of the monk who aspired to attain arahantship through its practice, I aspire to bridge the gap between its ancient wisdom and the contemporary world, demonstrating how its principles are not bound by time or culture. The monk, who lived in the late 19th century to mid-20th century, stands as a testament to the enduring power of Vipassana. His unwavering faith in the method as a means to achieve arahantship, the ultimate state of liberation, serves as an inspiring reminder that the potential for profound transformation exists within each of us. His story, interwoven with the teachings of Vipassana, adds a unique dimension to this book, illustrating the depth of conviction and dedication that can be cultivated through this practice. The journey to bring this book to your hands was as transformative as the meditation practice itself. It began with the serendipitous discovery of a PDF document, its digital pages echoing with the profound teachings of Vipassana and the monk's journey. Through meticulous effort, I transformed its virtual form into the tangible realm, reformatting and adapting it to ensure its clarity and coherence. With immense joy, I have chosen to make this book accessible on Amazon, a platform that unites readers across the globe. My intention is to extend the reach of Vipassana's wisdom the monk's story beyond geographical boundaries, fostering a community of seekers who are dedicated to exploring the profound depths of their consciousness. As you delve into the chapters that follow, I invite you to approach this book with an open heart and an inquisitive mind. Let its words be a companion on your own journey of self-discovery, a roadmap through the landscapes of your thoughts and emotions. May it serve as a source of inspiration, guidance, and solace, as you navigate the intricate labyrinth of your inner world. I extend my deepest gratitude to all those who have walked alongside me on this path, offering their support and encouragement. May this humble offering, enriched by the monk's story, be a testament to the boundless potential that resides within each of us, waiting to be unveiled through the practice of Vipassana meditation. With Metta. Daniel Nguyen, New Zealand 2023. Additionally, should you find value in the pages of this book and wish to express your appreciation through a donation, your generosity is warmly welcome. You can contribute to this endeavor by sending your support to my address provided below. Your kindness will aid in furthering the reach of these teachings and fostering a community of fellow seekers. May your journey through these words be enriching and transformative, and may your contributions resonate as a ripple of gratitude and shared wisdom. With heartfelt metta. Daniel Nguyen, New Zealand 2023. Namo tassa bhagavato arahata sammasambuddhassa. Veneration to the Exalted One, the homage worthy, the perfectly self-enlightenment. 1. Homage to the three gems. To the Buddha, who shows sentient beings the way to birthlessness, the Nibbana, who knows the four Ariya, noble, truths, who protects and teaches those who live in righteousness from falling to the four miserable worlds of apaya. To the Dharma, comprising of the 10 noble worthiest dharmas, namely, the 4 maggas, paths, 4 phala, fruitions, nibbana and parayati, teachings of the Buddha. To the Samgha, Buddha's true glorious sons who had crossed over to the other side of the samsara with its innumerable rounds of rebirth, the extent of which is even more expanse than the great oceans. I, a mere conditioned phenomenon of mind and matter, pay my deep and revered homage to these 3 jewels, ratanas, with my joined palms raised on the forehead. Two. Homage to the teacher, the Venerable Sayadaw U Kawi, the founding father of Sunlun way of meditation. To my teacher, my mentor, who possessed infinite noble attributes, famed far and wide throughout the country of Myanmar and in foreign lands, even to the highest realms of existence. Instructing the great importance on touch, awareness, mindfulness in the method of Vipassana practice he had expounded for Pati-Pati Sasana. With great compassion holding Dharma discourses, exhorting day and night, tirelessly for all, layman and bhikkhu alike. Admonishing and guiding his disciples and devotees in the practice to understand and realize that self, atta, is but concept, panati, the verbal connotation, and that non-self is the ultimate truth, paramatta. To him, I, a composite of phenomena, made up of the 5 aggregates, khandhas, that of physical body, rupa, sensation, vedana, perception, sana, volitional activities, sankhara, and consciousness, vijnana, known to be his most devoted disciple, pay my most reverence and humble homage with my joined palms raised on my head, and with my utmost faith in his morality, sila, concentration, samadhi, and wisdom, panna. Preface. The Venerable Sunlun Sayadaw U Kawi was born at Sunlun village, Myingyan Township in Myanmar, formerly Burma. In his early years, he worked as an office messenger in a government office. Later, in his 30s, his earnings as such was not sufficient to support his family, so he resigned from government service and went to work in farming. He prospered as a farmer, made charitable acts offering candle lights at the village pagoda where he made noble wishes to be able to devote his life as a bhikkhu to propagate Dharma. Because of a prophetical oracle, and because of his rapidly ascending prosperity in a short period of time, which was taken as an unlucky omen in local custom, he became apprehensive, samvega, of samsara, the unending rounds of births. So he started to practice insight meditation, Vipassana, diligently, and by the end of 12 months' time, his insight and wisdom got developed so high, he renounced the layman world, leaving behind his wife, children, his property and all kinds of bonds and attachments, entering the order of Samgha as a novice, Samanera. On the 8th day after becoming a novice, he reached the 4th and final stage of enlightenment, rid of any defilements, asava, and became an arahat, a true son and disciple of the Buddha. He was then ordained as a full-fledged bhikkhu, and for 31 years he preached and guided his many disciples along the path to Nibbana with the unique method of Vipassana practice to realize the Four Noble Truths. And in 1952, on the 17th of May, Saturday, 9th waning day of Kazwan, 1314 ME, at 4:55 p.m., for many, like the glorious sun setting into the west horizon, the most venerable Sunlun Sayadaw passed away into Nibbana, the bliss supreme domain of the Buddhas, Paccekabuddhas and Aryas. The Venerable U Sabana was the vice-presiding abbot of Sunlun Gu Kiyong Monastery, Myingyan. He had looked after the Venerable Sunlun Sayadaw U Kawi, who had trusted him with his life. The Venerable U Sabana realized the invaluable teachings of the Sunlun Sayadaw. Knowing the method to be the shortest and straightest forward of all Vipassana practice, he prepared to make public for all those who are seriously interested. He put together the teachings in its original format, and together with photos and illustrations, he published this biography of the Venerable Sunlun Sayadaw U Kawi. All the net surplus derived from the sales proceeds of this published book are to be solely used for the maintenance of the Dhantaya I Pagoda, where the remains of the Sunlun Sayadaw lies in state, and for the propagation of Sunlun Vipassana meditation founded by the Venerable Sayadaw. As such, it is seriously hoped that no unauthorized publication of this book will ever take place. The life story of the Sunlun Gu Kiyong Sayadaw. This detailed biography of the Venerable Sunlun Sayadaw U Kawi, Kavi, 1, was written by the Venerable U Sabana, pronounced U Thor Bana in Myanmar, the vice-presiding Sayadaw, Taik Ok, of Sunlun Gu Kiyong Monastery, as told by the Venerable Sayadaw U Kawi himself. The man who would be Sunlun Sayadaw U Kawi had, in his many past lives, fervently aspired to be liberated from samsara, the innumerable rounds of rebirth, which is like a huge oceanic whirlpool where mind and matter are in continual succession of arising and perishing. He had, in numerous previous lives, done lots of good deeds to achieve that goal. At the time of Kassapa Buddha, the third Buddha of this earth, Bhaddakappa, the present world, is blessed by 5 Buddhas. He happened to be a parrot. One day, the parrot, while flying in search of food, saw the Buddha. Though he was an animal, by virtue of his parami with inherent intelligence and wisdom, he knew that this resplendent human before him was a unique noble personage. Wanting to pay homage to the Kassapa Buddha, he flew down to the ground. With his 2 wings touching on top of his head in reverence, the parrot walked humbly towards the exalted Buddha, bowed down and offered fruits. With great compassion, Kassapa Buddha accepted the offering, blessing the parrot with these words, "For this generous charitable deed, whatever your aspiration be, it shall be fulfilled as you so desired." After saying so, the Buddha walked away. The parrot gazed after him in rapture. He was left feeling blissfully happy and immensely gratified, uttering to himself, "Oh, to have offered with fruits I have to such a noble personage is indeed an invaluable deed." Because the generosity of his offering is of enormous intent, Satana Jivana, and because the recipient happened to be the Buddha himself, it generated enormous positive karma, kama, so much so that when the parrot died, he was reborn for many successive lives in the 7 realms of the sensual existence, the 7 realms of celestial world, with incomparable riches, entourage and attendants at his disposal. After spending many glorious lives in the celestial world, he was then reborn as a human who became a very famous professor by the name of T. Kitchaka at Taxila, 2. N.B. Sunlun Sayadaw once remarked, those who had been acquainted with me and had been treated by me when I was the renowned physician will come to me now. They will follow my guidance and be able to take up the Vipassana practice with the method I had acquired. After passing away, he went into many rounds of rebirth again. During the period of Gautama Buddha's Sasana at One Life, he was reborn as a human and became the very famous Barme Sayadaw, who was deeply revered by King Manohar III, a great patron of Buddha's teachings, who ruled over Savannah Bhumi, now known as Thaton Township in Myanmar. After this life, he again went into rounds of rebirths. Finally, he was reborn into a family who lived in Sunlun village, south of Myingyan town in Upper Myanmar. His father was called U Thant, and his mother Daw Tokay. At the time of his conception, his father had a vivid dream in which a man with distinctly noble features came to their house asking permission to him, "Please let me stay at your house." U Thant declined, saying, "Oh no, please don't stay in our house. We are very poor." But seeing the stranger was not giving up to his repeated refusals, he finally accepted the visitor. The parents regarded the dream as auspicious. After 9 months of pregnancy, in the 10th month, Daw Tokay delivered a healthy baby with unique features on the second waxing day of Tabor 1239 ME, 1878, Sasana era 2421, Monday, at just before 4 o'clock in the morning. Because of auspicious omens, the baby was named Mong Kyo Din, meaning famed one, at his naming ceremony with the traditional washing of the baby's hair. The couple had 3 children altogether: Ma Thin, a girl, Ko Kyo Din, who would later become Sunlun Sayadaw, and Ko Ong Keen, another boy. Ko Kyo Din went to school at a monastery in Myingyan where Min Kyong Sayadaw, the abbot, looked after him well. But he was very slow in learning and could not progress much in class. So, at the age of 15, he dropped off school and together with his father U Thant, he went to Myingyan and worked as an office boy at the office of the district deputy commissioner. Some years later, he married Ma Shui Yi from his native village. They got 4 children, but 3 of them died while still very young. Only a son named Ko Kan Nyunt, also known as Ko Shane, survived. U Kyo Din came to realize that there would not be much future prospects working as an office boy. So at the age of 30, he resigned, went back to his native village to work in his parents' fields and so became a farmer. One day, he had a conversation with a friend named Yu San Tin who was said to possess occult powers, and at certain occasions was said to be of service to the celestial guardians, of the world, acting as medium. While he was talking, all of a sudden, Yu San Tin blurted out reciting a riddle. 1 thread, 2 threads. What a mess. This old lady boaks bulk of entangled threads. Who in the world be able to clear up this tangle? Spinning about with a shuttle on a loom was Ma Kuei, dressed in a Pondor-designed longyi with green fringe and checkered blue. The stump of the ruined pagoda is now radiating with light. From the Kyunbo teak loom, sound boomed and echoed through the 10,000 universe. He then started to explain the prophetic riddle to Yu Kyo Din. Don't you think the tangled threads become organized on a loom? Yes, of course, Yu Kyo Din replied. Well, ignorance, avijja, of sentient beings is even more muddled than the old lady boaks bulk of entangled threads. And Yu Kyo Din, is going to clear this up with the use of a shuttle called mindfulness, sati. A weaving factory will appear at south of Sunlun village. When it does, you will propagate Buddha's Dharma at a place known as Kyunpopin Kone. Kyunpopin means teak tree. Kone is a little hilly place. And there will be 2 teak pillars there. The stump of the ruined pagoda is now radiating with light, foretells that the hidden and forgotten era of Patipatisasana, the practice of the Buddha's teachings, will rise and thrive again. Yu Kyodin listened and said, "Oh no, don't say such ridiculous things." "You wait and see," replied Yu Santin. That year, Yu Kyodin bought another plot of farmland. At the start of the rainy season, he called his wife Do Shui Yi and together they went to clear the fields. When they got there, Yu Kyodin told his wife, "Let's grow sesame in our new field this year. If it yields 50 baskets of sesame, we will offer 1,000 lights at the village pagoda." Do Shui Yi agreed, saying, "Never mind 50 baskets. If we get 40 baskets, we'll do the offering." Yu Kyodin then confirmed, "Okay, let's promise each other then. But this time, let's not include music in the procession as is the custom. If young ladies in the procession get their jewelry stolen in the rowdy crowd, we'd be responsible. Let's make it simple." Soon afterwards, they sowed sesame seeds in their newly acquired field. Young plants sprouted up at the beginning of the rainy season but wilted and almost died because of scarce rain. However, the plants survived and flourished when the rains came. Other people's sesame fields were destroyed but not those of Yu Kyodin. In fact, his fields yielded exactly 40 baskets of sesame. No more, no less. Do Shui Yi suggested, "Let's press it into sesame oil and as promised, we'll offer 9 vis for the pagoda, where the 1,000 lights will be offered, and 9 vis, 5, for the samga." Yu Kyodin asked, "How many bhikkhus are we inviting?" To which his wife replied, "We'll invite 4 bhikkhus and offer 2 vis of oil to each, then set aside the remaining vis to cook for the guests' food." "All right then, let's offer it that way," agreed Yu Kyodin. So on the full moon day of Ta Dim Gyut, which marked the end of rain's retreat period, in 1281 ME, which was on the 8th of October in the year 1919, they made light offering at the pagoda situated at southeast of the village. At the congregation, bhikkhus recited parata and delivered a sermon, after which they shared merits with the libation ceremony by pouring consecrated water. When night fell, they lighted up 1,000 little lamps filled with oil. Do Shui Yi was kept busy entertaining guests in the traditional way with beetles, 6 cheroots and pickled tea leaves. Yu Kyodin went nearer to the pagoda to have a closer look at the burning lights of lamps. He watched the tips of wicks turning black, the flickering flames, and the oil boiling. While watching, the scene moved him so much that he trembled, with goose pimples appearing all over his body. He wondered, "What could be the matter with me? This is truly unusual. I'm sure if I make a wish now, it will certainly be fulfilled." All of a sudden, he felt a desperate desire to become a bhikkhu. So he wished fervently, "Please may I become a bhikkhu. On becoming a bhikkhu, may I be able to preach and teach Buddha's Dharma. And like me, may sentient beings understand and practice Dharma according to what I preach and teach." After making the wish, he became worried, thinking, "How am I going to teach Dharma when I become a bhikkhu, as I am not a learned person?" But believing that somehow his aspirations would be fulfilled, he felt very satisfied and happy to have made his wish. Sunlun Sayadaw later recounted, "At that time, I was so uneducated and had no knowledge to have wished for various supreme aspirations like Sama, Sambodhi, perfect self-enlightenment, or Paccekabodhi, silent Buddha, or for Agasawaka, chief Arya disciples of Buddha, or Mahasawaka, great Arya disciple. Unlike other people, I just wished short to the point, simply for bhikkhuhood." That year, he became more and more prosperous. But he began to worry about it, as there was a traditional belief that rapid rise in worldly possessions could lead to a person's death. Even worse, he knew his horoscope at the moment was in planet Saturn, which was said to pave way for that person's demise. Rather plaintively he wondered, there is an epidemic, 7, plaque, breaking out around Myingyan. Perhaps I will succumb to this monstrous plague. If I die now, I have only bad karma, but no merits, none whatsoever, to see me through. My prosperity has risen so much this year. Is it an omen of my impending death? He continued to worry obsessively of his death. That year in February 1920, 1281 ME, Tar Born, he had a dream one night. In that dream, he saw a Buddha image coming into a makeshift pandal, 8, in front of his house. Seeing the image moving and smiling at him, he told his wife, "Here, hand me that rice bowl. I'm going to offer it myself to the Buddha." When he took the rice bowl from his wife, the image declared, "Oh, it's so annoying. I'm talking to you only this once. I won't talk to you in future." He then woke up suddenly after this dream with his heart pounding loud and hard. With much trepidation he thought, "I'm sure going to die. It must be because of my imminent death that I dreamed like this." He panicked and woke up his wife, related his dream and asked for some candles for offering. "Okay, I'll find some candles for you. But you mustn't tell about your dream to anyone," implored his wife. He took the candles and went off to the village pagoda. There, he met his friend Yu Chi Dain, who asked, "Why on earth are you here at this hour?" To which he replied, "I came to offer lighted candles to the Buddha at the pagoda because I'm so afraid I'd die." Yu Chi Dain asked his friend's birth date and year, calculated his astrological charts and said, "According to the horoscope, it says a two-legged being. In astrological terms, it means a human being would depart from your house, which was tantamount to a person's death." Yu Din exclaimed, "Oh dear, don't predict like that. I'm already laden with fear of death." "Well, it's not me who did the prediction. It's your horoscope which is showing the signs," replied his friend. Yu Din's terror of dying grew even worse. He begged, "Dear friend, do take me along every day to those nightly prayer sessions held in the village." Just then, another friend Yu Tin showed up and Yu Din made the same request to him. Some days later, on a moonlit night, Yu Tin came to visit Yu Din. They talked at leisure while lying down on a mat in the front portion of the house and soon, both drifted into a slumber. Then, Yu Tin muttered wearily, "How pitiful the sentient beings are. The three calamities are here to stay. Famine, war, disease. Satantara Kappa, Dubhikantara Kappa, Rogantara Kappa. Sentient beings are lost along the way and are being driven into the abyss." "Oh, how pitiful," Yu Din replied back sleepily. "Yes, I know the sentient beings have lost their way and are falling into an abyss. Wish I could find the right path that could lead them out of this mess." "Well, actually it's not that difficult to find the right path. Just wait at the crossroads. Someone who can show the right direction will appear," answered Yu Tin. Yu Din asked his friend again as he couldn't quite make out what he meant, but there was no response. Yu Din shook him up and asked him again, but Yu Tin was puzzled and didn't remember what he had said. Looking at his frightened friend, he comforted, "Don't be so afraid. You can take refuge in the three jewels, Buddha, Dharma and Sangha for peace." But Yu Din's paranoia over death became uncontrollable. Realizing his obsession was becoming unhealthy and destructive, he confided in his friend, "My obsession is getting out of hand. I'm going to set out to treat my paranoid mind in my own way to get some peace of mind. I'll take cues from my dream. Set up a pandal in front of my house, put a Buddha image inside for paying homage and start prayer sessions. I'm sure this will bring about my happiness. Okay. Go ahead as you wish if that is what you think will cure your affliction, consoled Yu San Tin. Do come early in the morning tomorrow. Let's find some bamboo poles for the pandal, Yu Kyo Din reminded his friend. So at dawn the next morning, they went to look for bamboo poles and just like in the dream, erected a traditional pandal with lattice fencings all around right in front of his house which was located at the corner of crossroads. A Buddha image was placed at an appropriate place for the invited guests to pay devotions when they come for nightly prayer sessions there. At dusk, the village elders came and soon, everyone was noisily joining in the lively discussion on Dharma, Buddhist teachings, what mind, citta, was and what the mental concomitants, cetasika, were. Meanwhile, Do Shui Yi was happily entertaining guests with cheroots, beetles and tea leaf salad in the traditional way. The first 2 nights passed without any significant incidents and the religious discussions that took place did not have any effect on Yu Kyo Din. On the 3rd night however, Yu Ba San, the chief clerk at Steel Brothers Mills, a weaving factory, came without being invited and started to talk about Anapana, Vipassana practice, out-breathing and in-breathing exercise to cultivate mental concentration for insight meditation, as taught by the renowned Venerable Ledi Sayadaw. 9. As soon as he heard the word Anapana, Yu Kyo Din, unlike previous nights, was greatly affected. His whole body became stirred with gooseflesh appearing all over. He thought to himself, "What is happening with me? I'm certain that I'm going to get my salvation through this Anapana. Well, I waited at the intersection of 4 roads just like in my dream. This man came here without my invitation. He came here out of his own accord and is now talking about meditation. Did he come here for me? I'm sure I'm going to get Dharma out of it." While thinking away happily, second thoughts came in. But then, I'm quite illiterate. What if I can't learn the scriptural texts? What if their meditation requires learning? I'll be in a fix then. Well, can't help it. Perhaps I'll ask him tomorrow. When Yu Ba San came the following night, he was waiting anxiously at the pandal's entrance and asked eagerly, "Oh Chief Clerk sir, does your meditation needs learning?" To which Yu Ba San replied, No, higher learning is not a prerequisite. Genuine interest with conviction, saddha, and effort, viriya, are the factors that count. Then, how shall I practice? Inquired Yu Kyo Din. Well, out breaths and in breaths which is Anapana, replied Yu Ba San and went inside. Note: Yu Kyo Din's house was situated at the intersection of 4 Road in Sunlun village. Yu Kyo Din was much elated and inspired on hearing these words. He didn't even follow the guest but went off immediately to meditate. He stretched out on the gunny deck chair under the canopy at the side of his house and started murmuring to himself, This is in-breath, this is out-breath. In-breath, out-breath. He kept on this Anapana exercise earnestly for days, fully convinced that it would become fruitful. One day, Yu Shui Luk, a neighbor, came for a visit and saw him practicing Anapana. He remarked, "You need to apply awareness as well." Yu Kyo Din didn't understand well, so he asked, "How do I apply awareness?" To which his friend replied, "Just know it. Just keep on knowing it. What happened if I apply this awareness? Well, you get merits of course. In that case, I'll do it." From then on, Yu Kyo Din tried to keep awareness at his work. He practiced awareness while he was chopping dried corn stems for cattle feed. This is great, he remarked with satisfaction. chopping with more zeal, knowing that he was getting merits while at the same time finishing his daily work even more productively this way. This realization further motivates him to develop the awareness coupled with mindfulness. The abrupt sound when the corn stem broke off. The awareness. The mindfulness, all occurring simultaneously. Mindfulness was now everywhere, at every action he made. While breathing, he was aware of the touch of air at his nostril tip and he put mindfulness on this awareness. While walking, he was aware of the touch of his soles with the ground and he put mindfulness on this awareness. Then he put mindfulness of the touch while plowing, weeding, digging soil, sowing seeds, drawing water, in fact in all the chores he was doing. He practiced anapanasati with vigorous mindfulness day and night whenever he had the time, whether he was at home or in the paddy fields. He even went into the forest of Mongyinpur ravine at nights to practice with full conviction, saddha, and great effort, virya. The relentless concentration paid off. He started to see multicolored lights in his practice. Brown, blue, red, gold, white, dark red, etc. He concluded that because of his relentless practice, he was experiencing the opportunity to pay homage to the sublime hues of the exalted Buddha's rays, so he tried even harder on his meditation. Before long, while meditating one day, there appeared in his vision a little ball whirling round and round near his face. Getting curious, he shifted his attention on the ball and found it went up every time he concentrated on it. He decided to follow it. It went up, and eventually he found himself on the clouds. Oh, my effort is progressing marvelously. I'm now on the clouds, he enthused with amazement and delight. The next day while meditating, again, a little ball, the size of a firefly, appeared in his vision, this time with shimmering lights radiating from it. Whenever he focused on it, it went up. Just like yesterday, he followed it up. This time, he found various kinds of spurred grand celestial mansions, pasada, on the clouds. He figured he was destined to live there after he died. These visions removed his fear of death. In fact, he felt happy and was much motivated to meditate more. With successive vigorous meditations, sensations appeared in his body. So he put his mindfulness on the bodily sensations. His samadhi, concentration, grew to great proportions as his practice developed to an advanced state. The cognition of touch awareness mindfulness was everywhere all day long. When he talked, he now talked only of natural phenomena, i.e., mindfulness of awareness in natural settings. He was not in the same wavelength in conversing with village people, so much so that they begin to say, Yu Kyodin had gone nuts. Yu Kyodin reflected, well, it's good to be seen crazy. Nobody come and talk to me. No one bothers me, and I don't need to speak to anyone at all. How nice! How appropriate for my meditation. I'm now free of social obligations and can pursue more on my practice without any distraction. So using this chance of being isolated, he practiced day and night. With his meditation in advanced progress, he came to notice that people, in fact all beings, were continually in relentless pursuit after sense objects, aramana, for gratification of sense desires. He was appalled and became fearful of this, so he stayed away from the villages, rarely talking to them. When he happened to be talking to them, he reminded them to be mindful. He began to acquire supernatural sense of premonition, a byproduct of meditation. Out of pity, he would warn some friends of their impending death. Hey you! Remember to take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. You're going to die in 3 days, or 5 days, or 7 days, etc. People who had been forewarned all met their demise as told. He told the villagers of his supernatural visions. I could see other people's livers, hearts and all their internal organs. When I looked down, I could see hell, Nariya, the realm of continuous suffering, where inhabitants were congested, pushing and pressing like maggots eating away the rotten flesh of a dog's carcass. The villagers listened in awe. Whenever Yu Din foretold something, it happened. So when news of his supernatural power spread, people came to him for advice to trace their lost cattle, or for prescription of herbal medicine and medicinal food for their illnesses and other mundane things. Soon, he realized that it was getting out of hand and that he was fast becoming a shaman. Feeling the need to be alone, he spent most of his time in the forest of Mong Yin Po Ravine to meditate in solitude. Sunlun Sayadaw once commented, "Mundane, supernatural powers are enormously attractive and appealing. I was so fortunate to have escaped from it and have swum to the other side." Touch awareness mindfulness was applied in continuum at Anapana breathing practice. Sensations arise then coming in various forms. Pain, numbness, cold, heat, etc. in his body. He continued putting vigorous mindfulness on these bodily sensations. Udaya Bhayanana, insight into the arising and perishing of mind and matter, developed to such an extent that he saw the inside of his body in details, as if looking in the mirror with his body cut open, the heart, the liver, the intestines. Sunlun Sayadaw had made remarks to his disciples on this subject as follows. The process of arising and perishing phenomena, udayabhaya, of the body can be seen in the liquid form, the solid form or in other various forms. If you kept up the Vipassana practice day and night with mighty conviction, saddha, and powerful effort, virya, you will eventually come to observe and comprehend in striking terms the phenomena of mind, chitta, concomitants of mind, cetasika, and matter, physical body, rupa, in minute detail. How the arising, the building up, anabolism, and dissolving, breaking down, catabolism, of the body processes take place. This insight is known as udayabhaya, knowledge of the arising and perishing of bodily phenomena. The udayabhaya level of insight has three categories: the crude, the subtle and the most refined of body-mind processes. You can comprehend these fine matters only if you meditate most diligently. Note: as it is not appropriate to elaborate more than this on this subject at this stage, further details had not been written _author. 1. After attaining insight into the arising and dissolving of phenomena, in the year 1920 on the 12th of August, Thursday, 1282 ME, on the 13th waning day of Waso, around 10 o'clock at night, Yu Din attained Sotapanna, the first path of enlightenment. He continued with his practice, but his wife had changed. Instead of being supportive of her husband's good work, she began to disturb it outright, accusing that it was keeping him from household duties. She would complain furiously and grumble non-stop about it, pushing him off from the bed while he was meditating. Once, she even took off the floor planks one by one until there was none. Nevertheless, Yu Din kept up his practice sitting perfectly still on the beam of the floor. Seeing she had failed in her effort to prevent her husband from meditating, she put back the planks onto the floor. When Yu Din asked her, "Why did you disturb my meditation so much? So that you'd beat me up?" she retorted, "I would never beat you. Dear lady, do carry on showing me the Dharma." Meaning to test his patience level, responded Yu Din, "You good-for-nothing man. Staying numb all the time like Prince Temiya, 10, of Jataka. Why don't you go to the monastery and live there as a monk if you want to meditate so much?" she shouted back angrily. She continued her mumble and grumble. nagging almost daily, but Yu Din, knowing he hadn't reached his goal, kept up his patience like the aged Bhikkhu Upaka, who was renowned for his extraordinary forbearance during the Gautama Buddha's time. Once, while he was meditating, she purposely let go of the cow which was tethered to the post, then yelled, "Oh, the cow has gone loose. Quick! Go after it. Do go after it." This cow normally had a very bad temper and would aggressively beset anyone who stood in her way. But this time, it just stood there without attacking anyone. Becoming furious, she walked off, stamping her feet in disgust, berating noisily, and continued doing all kinds of things to infuriate her husband. Yu Din meanwhile kept on ignoring his wife's incessant naggings and carried on with his meditation practice with unrelenting determination. Sunlun Sayadaw once recounted to his disciples of his past days. By virtue of keeping vigorously mindful of the sensations during repeated practice, my patience level gradually increased. When somebody yelled abuse at me, the element of displeasure, dislike, dosa, comes up in my mind. Of course I dislike it. But mindfulness warned me, oh, this is anger. So, I put a hold on this emotion. I felt happy when I noticed that I could refrain myself, because in the past I would have slapped that person in the face. It meant that I had improved a lot in forbearance and fortitude. When I see something beautiful, there arises the element of pleasure, desire, lobha. But then, I thought, well, this enjoyment of pleasure is just an element of lobha, greed. The eyes just see the visible object. The beauty of the visible object, ruparamana, is mere perception, sana. What have that got to do with me? To be so pleased about? From then on, when I heard something, I reminded myself that this is merely perception, sana, of sound, an audible object. When I touch something, I understood it to be simply a matter of perception of a tangible object. When I smell something, I apprehended it as perception of an olfactory object. With deep mindfulness, I could cut off my mind not to react to, nor to have judgment, to the sounds, the touch, the smell, and all the sense objects, and simply taking everything as it is, with equanimity. This way, I came to understand the workings of the mind with regard to the sense objects. One night, Yu Din fell asleep and dreamt that he was at a railway station. He went to buy a ticket, but the station master gave him 4. He put all 4 tickets in his pocket and boarded the train as it was about to depart. Then he woke up. Soon afterwards, he had another dream. In it, he was in a paddy field and saw a bull running towards him. He gave chase and caught it by the tail, which broke loose. The tail came off right from the root and was left in his hand. He woke up then. He took these dreams to be good omen, which he thought indicated that he was going to break loose from this miserable world in the later part of the Buddha's teachings, sasana. With great conviction he vowed to himself, I'm going to strive till the end. 2. He continued to endeavor, and exactly a month later, that same year 1920, on the 11th of September, Saturday, 1282 ME, on the 13th waning day of Waso, at around 10 p.m., he attained Sakadagami, the second path of enlightenment. Later, Sunlun Sayadaw reminisced that attainment of the second path was not that much significant. He said it was experienced just as a matter of the inner sensations, as he had already treaded and known the track of supramundane insight while attaining the first path. After attaining the first and second path of supramundane Dharma, Yu Din's behavior changed, as was his understanding of the world. He began to discuss and comment on the laws of nature in a deep and serious philosophical manner. Moreover, when people informed him of someone in the village getting ill, if he said, "Oh, he's going to die," that person certainly died. If he said, "No, he won't die," then that person recovered. When his predictions always got right, villagers became afraid to talk to him. He ignored them and got on with his meditation with much more vigor. 3. 1 month later, that same year 1920, on the 10th of October, Sunday, 1282 ME, on the 13th waning day of Tav Ta Lin, at around 10 at night, he encountered an excruciatingly painful sensation during his meditation, as if all the nerves in his body were being cut off. He overcame that with intense mindfulness coupled with incredible patience, finally reaching Anagami, the third path of enlightenment. Sunlun Sayadaw had once commented, "Celibacy becomes absolute and permanent on attaining the third path of enlightenment. The robe of the concerned bhikkhu, or sarong of the concerned man, would have to be washed off." Complete and absolute expulsion of all semen in the body occurred at reaching Anagami, representing absolute uprooting and permanent abolishment of sex and sexual interest. When it was getting nearer to attaining supramundane knowledge of the third path, both the inner and outer plexus were forcefully shaken and pulled out. You need to struggle vigorously to overcome this severe onslaught of painful sensation. At this point, if you couldn't conquer this, you would fall off. I can appreciate and say, "Sadhu, well done," only if you could prevail over this. The next day, a thunderbolt struck right in front of him. But he was not shaken at all. In fact, he was calm and collected. He found that fear had left him. By and by, after meditating for many a time, he saw acutely the living being's continual focus and attention on sense objects, aramana. When he saw their avid preoccupation with sensual things and continual pursuit for gratification of senses with relentless effort, he developed aversion and dread to live among people. The desire to become a bhikkhu, to live in seclusion, became intense. Sunlun Sayadaw reminisced, "I searched for the enemy within and discovered they were elements of greed, lobha, hatred, dosa, delusion, moha, conceit, mana, and the like. On analyzing further, I found that greed is the prime source among them which gives me the most suffering, dukkha, so I decided to kill the main foe. And if you ask me how, it is like this. When you touch something, you are aware of it. Guard this awareness with mindfulness. If you keep on being mindful of the touch, the practice of touch awareness mindfulness, elements of greed will gradually decrease in both frequency and intensity. It becomes lesser and lesser, weaker and weaker. When I sought further to see whether there are any remaining enemies still left behind, I discovered they are the ones closest to me, my wife, my children and my possessions. Searching for the cause from the effect, resultants means his wife, children and possessions, I found out that the cause is that I had not settled debts with them all along the whole samsara, rounds of rebirth. No wonder they kept on giving me trouble. I decided to settle debts with my wife, so I called her to ask for forgiveness. I told her like this, because of past affinity and karma, you and I happen to meet this life to become husband and wife. From now on, please don't give me back the debts you owed me. And for my part, I would also like to stop paying back any debts that I might have owed you. Let us break our marital contract in mutual agreement. I will regard you as my own sister and you also look upon me as your own brother. And furthermore, do permit me to become a bhikkhu." And do you know how my wife replied back? She said, "Oh please, you don't need to settle any debts that you might have owed me. And you don't need to go anywhere nor become a monk. Do stay at home in a revered room all by yourself and let me look after you well as my elder brother. Like the saying, a head looks graceful only with a chignon on it, so is a woman with a husband. One wouldn't look respectable or graceful without the other. In our society, A woman needs a husband as a protector and guardian. Otherwise, people would take advantage of her. Without a husband at her side, she wouldn't be taken seriously but is liable to be hassled and harassed. And thus Do Shui Yi used her feminine wiles to tie down her husband even further. Yu Din was very naive at that time. Lacking general knowledge, he thought a man could not enter into the order of Samga without the wife's consent. He was intensely miserable as his wife would not let him become a bhikkhu. In despair he wondered, how can I find a job that is entirely free of defilements for my livelihood? People around me working for their livelihood are involved in some kind of unwholesome deed in one way or the other. As I see it, there are only two ways of faultless living. You either enter bhikkhuhood or live like a crazy man. He continued thinking of ways. I can use a gunny bag to dress myself like a madman. If I cut off 2 corners for the arms, and make a hole in the middle for the head, it will be perfect for my needs. I will just lie down on it if I want to sleep. For food, I can go begging with a bowl at houses along the street. I'm sure people will take pity on an insane man and give away generously. That way, nobody will give me any trouble and there won't be any hassle for clothing or for food. What a great idea to spend a blameless life. Days passed without any solution. Feeling very unhappy, he lost his appetite and became very weak. He thought in despair, my nature and way of thinking has become vastly different from that of other people. How can I function among them and survive for long? I will eventually die if I have to continue staying like this amongst these people. He tried once more pleading for his wife's consent to let him be a bhikkhu, but in vain. The neighbors, taking great pity on his pathetic state, implored his wife to give in. Look, Do Shui Yi, let him do as he pleases. He couldn't eat or sleep. Look how he's gotten so thin that he is all bones and skin now. He will certainly die if he goes on like this. She was still very stubborn. She wouldn't give in. She even retorted like this, oh, it's better to let him die than being separated. If he dies, I'll suffer only once. If I give him permission, having to see him as a monk right under my very own eyes and stay as a total stranger will make me unhappy all the time. More days went by but she was still extremely obdurate, causing great unhappiness to her hapless husband. Seeing him in a skeletal state, more villagers joined in to give repeated pressure on Do Shui Yi to let him go. At last she yielded. All right, go and be a monk for a couple of weeks. With much elation, Yu Din replied, oh dear, sure. If I'm not happy as a bhikkhu, I won't wait for a fortnight. I will come back immediately. But if my parami, 11, calls for, please let me be a bhikkhu for as long as I wish.